VK6 BQQ VE3 LBI.
VE3 LBI, VK6 BQQ. Good morning to you, sir. Good evening, and I believe Mississauga Net going to be on here shortly. But how's Larry?
We're doing good. What time's it start? I thought it's supposed to start at 8 o'clock. It's almost 8:30. I'm not sure, Reg. I got written down 8 o'clock.
Well, I see the screen's getting filled up here, and the saga is on, so I think it's 8:30 that it gets going.
Yep. Okay, Reg. Just saw you in there. Give you a shout, see what was going on tonight. So, I'm still fighting with a piece of software and a scanner, and I'm not sure who's winning. It's not me.
Yeah, QSL. They can be a challenge.
All right, Reg. 7-3 for now. I'll listen along for a bit.
QSL. VK6 BQQ listening.
Antbelt network now connected for the net. Please stand by.
This is Victor Alpha 3, Alpha Zulu Alpha, and we're going to begin the Mississauga Amateur Radio Club Tuesday night in just about a few seconds. Please stand by. Good evening. This is Victor Alpha 3, Alpha Zulu Alpha, and my name is Brian. I'm your net controller tonight for the Mississauga Amateur Radio Club Tuesday Night Net. This net is available on the club's VHF repeater and Ucklink between 20:30 and approximately 21:43 hours local time in Mississauga, Ontario, Canada. It is also streamed live on YouTube, where archives of previous nets can be found. Stand by, please. To participate in the net on the VE3MIS VHF repeater, tune 145.430 megahertz with a negative 600 kilohertz offset and a 103.5 hertz tone. To participate on Ucklink, connect to the TechLink conference node number 9229. To listen live on YouTube and comment, search YouTube for VE3MIS. Stand by, please. If you would like to find out more about the Mississauga Amateur Radio Club, visit our website at www.ve3mis.ca. That's Victor Echo 3 Mike India Sierra Charlie Alpha. Our email address is ve3mis@rac.ca. That's Victor Echo 3 Mike India Sierra at Romeo Alpha Charlie Charlie Alpha. Stand by, please. The purpose of this net is to pass news and views along to members and visitors of the club. It also provides experience to volunteer operators in net and emergency operating procedures. All check-ins are welcome, and we especially invite non-members to join in. Stand by, please. The Mississauga Amateur Radio Club meets virtually via Zoom conferencing software on the second and fourth Thursday of each month. Our meetings emphasize comradeship and learning and are open to guests and visitors. See our website to learn how to join virtual meetings. Non-members who wish to attend should email ve3mis@rac.ca to obtain instructions for virtual admission. Also, we have resumed in-person meetings, and the two types of meetings are held at the same time. So we actually have a in-person meeting which is also available on Zoom at the same time. So we're kind of in two places at once. Stand by, please.
VE3MIS repeater.
For those who do attend the in-person meetings, the address or the time of the meeting is 7:30 p.m. and this is on the second and the fourth Thursday of each month at the St. Thomas of Becket Church Hall, 3535 South Common Court in Mississauga, which is near the intersection of Aaron Mills Parkway and South Common Court. Stand by, please. Before we get into our check-ins, I'll just take a quick little look at the announcement sheet. There's not much on the announcement sheet this week. Just a little reminder, there are no meetings this week. Although we may have, I'll have to check with Brian for his Aries meeting. But there's no club meeting this week. That was last week. And the executive meeting, I believe, is not until the beginning of October. So, no meetings. Maybe we'll hear from club members about other activity groups that may be conducting meetings. Stand by, please. Just a little reminder for those who are within earshot of the VE3MIS repeater. Usually on Wednesday morning, the Cross Canada RLP is hooked up between 11 and noon local time. That is via IRLP 9013. And if you're within RF reach, then you will be able to hear it. You can probably participate. As well on Friday night, the TechNet is heard on VE3MIS, and that's between 8 and 10 p.m. Local time. And that is via Echolink conference number 9229, which happens to be the same one that you might be listening to right now if you're connecting via Echolink. Stand by, please. Well, the net will be conducted in two rounds, a check-in round and a 7-3 round. During the check-in round, check-ins will be called in two broad groups of traffic, short-time traffic and general check-ins. Emergency check-ins will be taken at any time. Sometimes OL, RF, and Echolink check-ins may be called by themselves to reduce the risk of doubling. Listen carefully and check in with a group that best matches your circumstances. And finally, avoid transmitting more than about 1 minute without keying up to prevent system timeouts. Stand by, please. Again, your controller for tonight's net is Brian, that's me, and my call sign is Victor Alpha 3, Alpha Zulu Alpha. And when you check in, please announce your call sign using phonetics, followed by your first name. And let's start off with some short time check-ins. We'll collect some RF first. So if you're out there on RF and you're short time, that means you probably won't be around for the second go. RF and short time, come now, please.
Brian, that tail's really bad. So HJQ.
Oh, Roger. Okay, I think that was John, VK3HJQ. And John, I got you here. I'm just going to make a call for other Echolink short time. Didn't hear any RF short time. Let's see if there's any Echolink short time. We'll gather that all up, and then we'll hear from all of them. So anyone out there on Echolink who is short time only, come now, please. Echolink short time only. Okay, net control returning. So nothing heard. No other call signs on Echolink short time only. So let's go to John, VK3HJQ. John, I know I heard that about the squelch, and it seems to be a different length too on different transmissions. But anyway, I'll pass it over to you. I hope all is well. I haven't talked to you in a long time, and it's nice to hear from you. Net control over to VK3HJQ.
Brian from BK3HJQ. Yeah, they need to sort that tail out. It sounds woeful coming back to Echolink. It's really, really loud. I thought they had that sorted out. Oh, apparently not. Yeah, I don't know why you guys just don't run the net all year round. I mean, just have a rag tube. It doesn't have to be the Mississauga net, but I think that's what they were doing anyway. Anyway, we were connecting up to another net, and then I checked with Rob, and he said, oh, no, 6th of October. And then when I connected up here, I thought everybody's connected, so obviously it's on today. So, yeah, cases up here. Oh, boy, we got 950 today. The highest the state's ever had was past New South Wales. Actually, we passed them yesterday. New South Wales had 863 cases, and we had 867. And today we recorded 950. Now, this started from one case about 2 months ago when they closed the whole of Victoria down for one case. And people are thinking, why did you close it for one case? Well, look where we are now. Nearly at 1,000. Absolutely crazy. And another 7 people have passed away. Well, hopefully we can get out of the poo, put it mildly. Anyway, back to you, Brian. Thanks for running the net, VK3HJQ.
VK3HJQ, VA3AZ net control returning. Okay, John. Good to hear from you. Yeah, but it sounds like the situation in your part of the world is not good, getting worse. I know here in Alberta, which is about in the middle of Canada, a little bit west of the middle, the number of hospital ICU admissions, I think, is quite high, and they're kind of teetering on a crisis out west. But last I heard, at least the last few days, not quite as bad here in Ontario. Seems okay. I mean, it's manageable. So I don't know what's going on, but yeah, here we are, still a year later, dealing with this. Anyway, good to hear from you. And let's take a quick standby. Okay, net control returning. I think that's all we heard for short time. We heard John on short time Echolink, and let's try RF general check-ins. If you're out there on RF and you'd like to check into the Mississauga Amateur Radio Club Tuesday night net, come now please with your call sign, spelled phonetically, followed by your first name. RF only.
A3 Golf Delta Zulu. Victor Echo 3 Whiskey Bravo Foxtrot, Barry.
Victor Echo 3 X-Ray Bravo Hotel, Brian.
I'm about to right now. Victor Alpha 3, Hotel Echo Sierra, Mark.
Okay, this is Net Control returning. Let's see, we'll just do a little read back here. I heard Mark, VA3HES. I heard Brian, VE3XVH. I heard Barry, VE3WBF, and I heard Gary, VA3GDZ. And just before I go to the top of the RF list, I think I'll gather up some Echolink. So if you're out there on Echolink and you'd like to get on the list here for the general check-ins, come now please with your call sign spelled phonetically, followed by your first name.
Victor Alpha 3, Kilo Yankee, Victor Alpha 3, Kilo Yankee.
Two Whiskey 1, Tango Echo Romeo. 2 Whiskey 1, Tango Echo Romeo, Monty, on the Aberystwyth in West Wales, UK.
Okay, Roger. We've got 2 check-ins there, and I think there was Monty from the UK to Whiskey 1, Tango Echo Romeo, and I heard Kevin in there from Toronto, VA3KKY. All right, so we've got a good list here. Let's go up to Gary. And Gary, you're at the top of the list. I hope all is well with you. And you've survived the rain lately. There's been a lot of rain. I find great puddles all over the place. So I'm trying to keep dry here. But I mean outside, fortunately, not inside. Anyway, we'll pass it over to you. Net control to VA3GDZ.
Good evening there, Brian, and to all on the net. Nice to hear some familiar voices, and really great to have the ham conference join us again. It's much appreciated. And even Monty there, pretty late over in Wales, but I'm anxious to hear what he has to say, so I'll try to be quick. Yeah, for John over there in Australia, you got a ways to go for vaccination. We're over 80% fully vaccinated here for eligible people, and we still need a bit more to bring the rates down. Right now, we're just stabilized. But it is amazing to see how many things are opening up. Like there's a Blue Jays baseball game right now with 30,000 people, all double vaccinated. You can go to the cinema, but you got to be double vaccinated. You can go to a restaurant, but you got to be double vaccinated, etc. So things are coming back, but slowly. And the cool weather is here. I like it because it's bringing out the beautiful fall colors, and that's what we're going next week to enjoy leading up to Thanksgiving. Back to you there, Brian. This is VA3 Golf Delta Zulu, Gary and Etobicoke.
VA3 GDZ, VA3AZ net control returning. Okay, Gary, yeah, for sure. The fall. This is the colorful time of year, so that sounds good. I'm keeping my eye out for that too. I'm always looking here and there for signs of the fall, and it's such a pleasant experience, and lots of opportunity for walking too. Seeing as the temperature is a little more tolerable, a lot more tolerable than it was a month ago. Anyway, thank you very much for joining us on this round. I'll keep you on the list for the second round. Let's try Barry, VE3WBF. Barry, hope all is well with you. Over to you.
VA3AZA, this is VE3WBF. Nothing much to report here. I'm just marking an assignment as I listen on. I'm doing the assignment online, so this is my first try at it, so it's been interesting. Back to the net. This is VE3WBF. Over.
VE3WBF, VA3AZ, net controller training. Okay, Barry, yeah, sounds good. Sounds good. I'm curious. I try to do them on Microsoft Teams myself. I don't know what you're using, whether you're using some kind of learning system there, or some sort of general purpose collaboration system, but I guess there are lots of them now. But are you doing them through one of those systems? Over to you.
college, they use something called Slate, and it's by, no, I can't remember. D2L, I think, is the company up in Waterloo that does this one. Over.
VE3WBF, VE3AZ. Okay, yeah, great. Actually, I know that one, the D2L. That's one of a couple that are circulating these days and becoming more well used, I guess, because of the circumstances of the pandemic. Anyway, we'll keep you on the list for a second go, and good to hear from you. Let's go down to Brian, VE3XBH. Hope all is well with you, Brian. Over to you.
VE3AZA, this is VE3XBH. Well, yeah, not much to report here, Brian. All is good. That's the main thing. Hope everybody's well. Thanks again to Mark for the live stream. Looks good. And other than that, you can tell fall's coming. It's getting a little chillier in the evening. But you mentioned Aries earlier, and the next Aries meeting will be in October, and will be an online meeting. And I believe it's the 21st. It's the third Thursday. So that'll be the next Aries meeting. But other than that, all is good here, Brian, so I'll send it back to you. VE3AZA from VE3XBH.
VE3XBH, VE3AZA, next for training. Okay, Brian, thanks for the clarification. I should remember that. Yeah, it's the third Thursday. I got to write that one in. I'm not sure. Anyway, sounds good. Yeah, and make sure you enjoy the fall weather. Sometimes it doesn't. Well, actually, fall goes a long time here. I can't complain about fall. I love fall in southern Ontario just because it's nice and long. And it's summer and fall, and you go into winter. It's spring that I don't like. I probably said that before on this net because spring is so long and dreary at times. Anyway, let's go down to VA3HES. Mark, over to you.
VA3AZA, VA3HES. Good evening, Brian on All on Net. Not too much to report. I've been busy with work, but glad to be playing some radio. I finally got my dipole up at home so I can get back on HF. We're live on YouTube, and good evening to Lawrence, who's watching along, and I know Gary's watching along also. And I apologize to anybody listening to the YouTube stream that hears me yelling at my kids. The Rube Goldberg setup here, my audio doesn't always mute going to YouTube from my microphone. Not much else to report. I'll be around for the second round. Brian, back to you.
VA3HES, VA3AZA, next to our training. Hey, Mark, I'm just curious. You said you put a dipole up. Is this wire, and what sort of what band are you listening to right now? Over to you.
VA3AZA, VA3HES returning. It is a homemade, off-center fed dipole with a store-bought 4-to-1 balun, and just made from some Home Depot orange 16-gauge stranded wire. And I've got it suspended about 28 feet or so up in the air between two trees, and it's cut to do 40 through 10. And if I use my tuner, it'll work on 6, but I'm not sure how efficient it is. And it goes gangbusters on 20 and 40, because I've made it into Italy, Switzerland, France, Spain, and England in the last 2 nights since getting it up. So I think it's working well. It's got good ears. Back to you, Brian.
VA3HES, VA3AZA, next short training. Okay, Mark, sounds good. So you're using the end supports. You have the end supports on the dipole. I usually end up in my space using a center support. I have something in the center, and the ends tend to be a bit lower. I haven't got it up right now, but I'll have to put it up shortly. And I was using the the low dipole on 40 for a long time last year, and I really liked it. It was really neat. Anyway, thank you for coming into the first round here. We'll keep you on the list for the second go. And let's go down to Kevin, VA3KKY. Kevin, how are you doing? Over to you.
Hey, good, okay, I have to make sure I'm keyed up here. Yeah, just hope everyone's having a very good Tuesday, and it's getting a little chillier, but it isn't too bad, like terrible bad, you know. It's good to have all the seasons and go through that, so that's what's happening now. Yeah, we've made considerable progress in the years. You know, when you square off to the last, like, when you guys came out of the summer last year, you didn't even know about that stringent lockdown that would happen on Christmas Eve, what was it? And then it wasn't lifted at all until, what was it, the last couple of weeks in June? And, and then we started to come out of the darkness in that way, where we had a few places that were open, you could get your hair cut and all of that, and now, things are the way they are, the passes, and getting through that. So I gotta say, as long as we're not regressing, that's really good. So I'm sure people would be pretty happy about that, and we'll roll like that. How about that? So I will be here for the duration. Please keep me on the list. And, I'll be looking forward to Thanksgiving. I'll be spending it by myself, so it isn't like vastly different from year to year to year. I think I said that last year as well, but I know it'll be vastly different for a lot of people, and they're going to try to make do the best they can. That's what's logical. So, all right. So I'll pass it back to Net, and we'll be here. This is VA3KKY.
VA3KKY, this is VA3 Net Controller Training. Okay, Kevin, yeah, so I know we're a year along, and we're kind of in a similar situation to last year at the same time, but I guess it is a little bit better in some ways. My XYL was commenting on the number of ICU admissions in Ontario that were double vaccinated, and it's actually quite small. And I don't think it's a great number of people compared to the population as a whole is vaccinated. So I guess that's a little bit. I mean, it's not reassuring for the people who've got it. Oh my goodness, to be in ICU with COVID when you're vaccinated would not be a happy time for sure. But at least the number is relatively small. So maybe we're hitting that magic level of herd immunity. I guess it's a little ways yet for Ontario, but maybe it's closer. Anyway, thanks for joining on the first round here. And let's go down to Monty, 2W1TER in the UK, to a Whiskey 1 Tango Echo Romeo. Over to you, Monty.
Whiskey 1 Tango Echo Romeo, Twitter, Monty in Aberystwyth. Yeah, the weather is turned. We've had, it's weird. Lovely, lovely sunshine, and then today it's just rained, and we got flood alerts and flood damage and roads closed already. It's just bizarre. Mother Nature's really booting our bottoms. So yeah, I think we've got a lesson to learn damn quick, or we're all going to die. Simple as. But yeah, it's very, very strange. I'm not going to talk about COVID because we're a bit looser with our language over here, and I'm afraid I might swear a bit too much because it's a bit of a touchy subject at the moment with the government. Well, the English government, but they have an effect on Wales, so we don't like that. So it's I best not mention that. But yeah, it's just winter's coming though, innit? And we've got to knuckle down. But yeah, with the gas and electricity prices going up 25% and no petrol and that, it's crazy. Yeah, we used to laugh at Mad Max films thinking that would never happen. Anyway, yeah, that's just a quick report, and thanks for letting me in. Hello, John, hello down under, and I'll hand it back to control. 2 Whiskey 1 Tango Echo Romeo, back to control.
2 Whiskey 1 Tango Echo Romeo, this is Victor Alpha 3 Alpha Zulu Alpha. Thank you very much for joining us, Monty. And oh yeah, for sure, got lots of interesting challenges. Well, everywhere we're dealing with these. So, but you know, you sort of keep going along with the pleasant things. The fall as it comes along, and you know, you never know. I think things are getting better. So, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just optimistic by nature. I'm not sure. But you know, I suppose it certainly seems better than at times in the past. And, most people seem to be helping move things toward some sort of conclusion. So, anyway, let's see. I believe we had there is someone on YouTube who wanted to check in. I can see it in the messages here. I think Gary Lawrence VE3HQM in Mississauga wants to check in. He's listening on YouTube. Lawrence, hello. And we're glad you're able to join us. You're joining us on YouTube, so we'll put you down here on the list, and that's great. That takes me to the end, I think, of my little list here of check-ins. And let's take a look now for anyone else who might be on RF. If you're out there on RF and you'd like to join us as a general check-in, come now, please.
Echo 3, Juliet, Mike, Yankee, Murray.
Okay, net control acknowledges VE3JMY, and that is Murray, Victor, Echo 3, Juliet, Mike, Yankee. Murray, good to hear from you, and we'll pass it over to you.
A3AZA, VE3JMY in the group. Good evening, Brian, and everybody on frequency. Very fine net as always. Nice to hear from Monty and everybody else. I quite enjoyed the rain lately. Greened things up, and not much to report as everybody else more or less has said, but one highlight in my walks around the neighborhood, a couple of times I've seen some blue jays highlighted in the sunshine, and they are colorful. Fantastic colors, but the days are getting shorter, of course, and make the best of it, Brian. Thanks for the net. Back to you.
VE3JMY, VA3AZA, net controller training. Okay, Marie, we got most of that. You actually got all of it. I'm wondering if you're on your handheld. You might be on your handheld because I can hear a little bit of the bacon there in the background. Your audio is coming across. May have been a little quieter on Echolink, but you're coming in there. Just curious, are you on an HT? Over to you.
I'm on the base, but I might have had the antenna switch in the wrong spot. I'll copy.
Oh, Roger. Okay. You've really got it now. You're really holding the repeater loss. The noise is gone, and yeah, that's excellent. You're highly readable. So yeah, man, I think you're on the wrong antenna there, but it sounds good. Over to you.
Thank you. The HT is sitting here ready for service, and but yeah, the antenna switch was in another mode, so I realized it as soon as you spoke. Thanks for the good report, and keep up the good work, Brian. Thanks. 73.
Amateur radio repeater VE3.
VE3JMY, VA3AZA. Okay, Marie, thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining us this evening. And gee, I see. I was just looking through the messages here. Just a note here from VK6. GIA, who may join us when we make the next call there about the gases associated with the volcano in La Palma, and they are quite the mixture of hydrochloric gas and something else. That's not a good. That's not the kind of thing I'd want to be too near. And I'm always surprised when I see photographs of people standing near volcanoes. Well, not too near, but given what comes out of them, I don't know if I'd want to be too near. And not just the lava, but all those highly toxic gases. Anyway, let's see if there are any Echolink check-ins out there. If you're on Echolink and you want to join us here in the Mississauga Amateur Radio Club Tuesday Night Net, come now please, Echolink only.
Victor Kilo 6, Golf India Alpha, Peter, in Byford, Western Australia. Good morning.
Followed up by VK6BQQ. Good morning from Western Australia.
Okay, Net Control acknowledges two Echolink check-ins there. There's VK6BQQ, that's Reg, and VK6GIA, that is Peter, and both in Australia. We'll go to Peter first. I saw your note there, Peter. You thought, if you've seen pictures of that too, people near that particular volcano, and it looks kind of scary, apart from all the obvious problems. The outgassing is what produces something that's extremely dangerous. Anyway, Net Control to VK6 GIA.
Yeah, good evening, Net Control, VK6 GIA. Peter here in Byford, Western Australia. Reg and I are only separated by about 5 air miles. I'm southeast of the city of Perth, and Reg is south of the city. Anyhow, morning time here, 0904. Not a bad morning. It's overcast, but it's quite mild outside. Anyhow, yes, La Palma, I've been quite mesmerized by all of this. But there again, when you realize there are 25 active volcanoes around the world, La Palma is on the bottom end of it, really. The problem is with La Palma, it is a small island. And last evening, I actually watched it. The TV Canarias broadcasts live transmissions from the island showing the volcano, and I've been watching it quite often. They've got a couple of new vents which have opened up on the other side of the island. Now, it presents a bit of a problem. Quick break. From VK6GIA, it presents a problem from a point of view that in the middle of the island is a fault line which runs right across the island. And what the United States, the USGS are scared of is that this fault line might suddenly separate, in which case there will be a mass of land going down into the Atlantic Ocean, could cause a massive tsunami. But that's a hypothesis, of course. But if it was to happen, it would happen very suddenly. And now they're evacuating much more of the island away. And the problem is that both airports are now shut, and all ferry services, due to the fact of this lava now entering the ocean, ferry services have been suspended for the time being. Anyhow, that's all I've got for you. Very good evening to you. Very good morning from here. VK6GIA.
VK6GIA, VA3AZA, Net Control returning. Okay, Peter, good to hear from you. Yeah, that's very interesting about the dangers of I guess it's kind of a collapse, the phenomenon of a collapse, I guess a large portion of the island collapsing and producing tsunami. I remember seeing all sorts of hypotheses about that phenomena many years ago, and I don't know whether it happens or whether it has happened, but it could have some. It is predicted when those things happen to have quite a significant action on the ocean in the area around the island, and well, hopefully we won't see anything like that. Anyway, good to hear from you. But I'm sure, we've got VK6BQQ Reg here, and I'm just going to throw in there before we go to Reg that these volcanoes are always a significant hazard to aviation. And anyway, so I'm sure Reg has probably heard a little bit about that, and I'm sure you too, Peter, have heard a little bit about that. But we'll go now to Reg of VA3 over to VK6BQQ.
I'm back to net control, VK6BQQ. Yes, it's a situation over on the islands, and with all the different volcanoes, boy, that one in Iceland was serious. It is serious. But on a lighter note, we've got folks working on our 80 years of the Lancaster bomber. We're going down to the museum today to see the manager, and a bunch of us are going to have a bit of a meeting down at the RAAF resort and have a coffee, sort things out. But it's looking pretty good for March coming up. So we're looking forward to that. With that, we'll hope to see a few folks on the net Friday night. But back to net. Thanks for having us. VK6BQQ Australia. Good morning.
VK6BQQ VA3 net controller training. Okay, Reg, good to hear from you. Reg, actually, speaking of the Lancaster, I know you were involved in the restoration, but I was wondering, were you involved in rebuilding it? I guess certain components this is in Canada, in Hamilton, but certain components had to actually be rebuilt, and I guess the engines, I'm not sure if those would be original engines, but can you maybe tell me just a little bit about your involvement in rebuilding any component of that aircraft? Over to you.
VA3AZA, VK6BQQ. Well, along with a few engineering folks, I was there at the airport when the Chinook helicopter, the RCAF, dropped the fuselage down. We put it in the hangar. We opened the door, and I was sort of taking the thing apart inside, pulling wires out and removing various items, inspecting, etc. But yeah, I worked off and on with the thing for quite a number of years, working along with Motorola, and I was with GE Mobile Radio at the time, so I was spending a lot of time out of the country. So I didn't get a whole lot of a chance to work on it, but I was dismantling things inside. As you know, it was on a pedestal in Godrich. Prior to that, built in Toronto, and it was used by the Coast Guard. So there was quite a bit of activity inside the actual aircraft fuselage. So that's basically what I was doing, but we did find through the RCAF new tires, new props, new engines. A lot of that stuff came in from Nova Scotia. So there was a lot of things happening at a lot of the time, and of course, you know, there was a fire at the old hangar, which destroyed a couple of aircraft, but I was at the 779 Squadron, the Air Cadets, in Dundas at the time, so I didn't get involved, but there were plenty of folks at the airport at the time, and they were able to pull the Lancaster fuselage out, and a lot of the other parts, so a lot of work involved. But yeah, I was there when we disconnected the cable from underneath that Chinook. That was interesting. But Vera is flying today, 11 years after all the work had to be done to get that baby airborne. Back to net control, VK6BQQ.
VK6BQQ, this is VA3 net controller training. Okay, Reg, yeah, very, very interesting. I guess there must have been a tremendous amount of time invested in the restoration of the aircraft, and that's pretty interesting. So you were there from the moment of delivery, and working on it for quite a while. And I would guess it would be many years to get all that together. It's quite a project, and it flies. It actually flies. I guess it had a long career. I don't know. You mentioned it was used by the. I recall something of that being mounted in the Godrich area. Something that rings a bell. I don't know if I've heard it or if I remember it as a young person, but yeah, I heard that, but yeah, I didn't know about the Coast Guard part, so it's kind of interesting. Now they've got those big, was it C-140s or whatever? I'm not sure what they use, but I see it every once in a while. You see it flying around. Okay, Reg, well, thank you very much. We'll keep you on the list here. Let's see if there's anyone else out there, and then we'll start a 7-3 round here, but let's look on RF, if there's anyone out there. Oh, actually, we'll just do another round of Echolink first, because I think there might be some people there. If you're on Echolink and you want to check in, come now, please. Echolink only, please.
Alpha 3, Whiskey.
Okay, net control training. There's the man I was looking at on the list, and that's VA3WM, John. And John, I think you're in there. You may have just at the end of your last transmission, maybe let go of the PTT real quick there. But good to hear from you, and we'll pass it over to you, net control to VA3WM. Victor Alpha 3, Whiskey Mike. This is Victor Alpha 3, Alpha Zulu Alpha. John, if you're there, over to you. I heard you in there. Over to you.
From VA3WM. Well, I'm here, Brian. Just had to do a quick battery change. My battery just gave up the ghost. So, good evening to everyone on the Mississauga Net tonight. Wherever you are, morning, evening, and, you know, it's from the land down under. I heard Reg in there. So, all good. So, I think the fall season is coming upon us quick. The temperatures are cooling, and, well, the rains have kind of subsided, so everything's good here. Lots of sunshine. And with that, I'll pass it back to you, VA3 today from VA3WM.
VA3WM, VA3A today, net controller training. Okay, John, good for you. And yeah, for sure, we're into that nice season. And you're quick with your battery change there. Oh my goodness. Must have had a pack ready or something. That was pretty quick. But good to hear it from you, and we'll keep you on the list there for a second go, and we'll see if there's anyone else out there. That was we'll do RF. We'll do one more RF call here. If you're out there on RF and you'd like to join us, the Mississauga Amateur Radio Club 2-meter net, come now, please. RF only, please.
Victor Alpha 3, Victor Whiskey Victor Alpha 3, Victor Whiskey X-ray.
Vaguely recall your call sign, but I can't remember the name. I'll pass it over to you, and you can give us your name. Net control to VA3 VWX.
Yeah, no worries today. It's Victor Alpha 3, Victor Whiskey X-ray. The name here is Tom, Tango Oscar Mike. Probably rings a bell now. And Mark, VA3HES, we were chit-chatting earlier today on another machine, and it hit me like a rock that the net was tonight, so I promised him I would check in, so I'm checking in. I know he's probably there fighting with YouTube or whatever. Sounds like you guys got a bit of noise on the tail of the machine here. It's a hardcore chunk. Anyway, good to hear Reg and WM in there. I missed the first, I guess 90% of the net, so I have no idea who's in there or not. Anyway, yeah, I'll agree with John there that the winter season is upon us, well, not the winter, the fall season is upon us. It's getting cooler. It's 13.6 degrees out there right now. Actually, a little on the cool side today. I think we only got up to about 20. But that's okay. The plants in the greenhouse are happy. It's a steady 20 degrees in there with lots of air circulation, so they're happy day or night. So the peppers and tomatoes are doing just fine in there for now. With
the grow lights and everything else. Outside of that, not too much to report. I'm glad to be able to come in through RF. And, I don't know if you guys have noticed, I haven't been able to get into as many nets as I used to get into with COVID. Things are becoming more normalized. So I'm getting busier, and I can't check into nets as much as I could before. So I don't know. That might be a problem going forward. The ham radio renaissance might be dwindling a little with COVID. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, we'll send it back to you. Victor Alpha 3, Victor Whiskey X-ray, back to net control.
Victor Alpha 3, Victor Whiskey X-ray. This is VE3MIS net control. Okay, Tom, good to hear you. I recognize your voice, too. I think I recognize your name. And, I wonder, I hope the Renaissance isn't over, because, of course, the dwindling time, free time, I guess, maybe, sometimes, there's so much time freed up from not having to drive for some people, but, that kind of gave them reason to get on the radio, so I hope it's not over. It'd be nice if COVID were over, but maybe that's an indicator. I don't know if you've ever heard, but sometimes there are certain indicators that you wouldn't expect that are associated with changes in things like public health things like the flu and such. Anyway, maybe that's an indicator of COVID's retreat. I don't know. Anyway, good to hear from you, and hopefully we'll hear from you again. And let's see, that brings me kind of to the end of my list here of RFs. I think we'll go back up to the top, and we'll start a 7-3 round here. And I may have called some. I didn't do a great job recording who would be here and who wouldn't, as usual. But we'll just. I think I have a rough idea. So let's go to VK3HCQ. John, if you're there, come on in. I see your comment about the first flight of the Avro. Over to you.
There we go. Wrong button. Too much stuff on here at the same time. Yeah, no, absolutely nothing about planes, but Google knows a lot about it, so that's where I get my information from. Gladys just recorded. Gladys is the Premier of New South Wales, where Robert lives. What did they record? 863, same as yesterday, with 15 people passed away. So, and they've got cases of concern in Blacktown, where Robert is. So, Robert, get out of New South Wales and get out of Victoria, too. I think we have to go over in Western Australia. It's the only safe place to be in Queensland, although they had a case there today. Oh, and there was a truck accident. A truck hit a coal train in New South Wales, cut the truck in half, and lucky the half that the guy was in with the cab was on the other side of the line, so he got out with minor injuries. So what a collision that must have been. Imagine a train cutting a truck in half. Unbelievable. Anyway, I never have any good news, do I? From down under. Thanks, Brian. Back to net. VK3HJQ.
VK3HJQ, VA3AZ8, net control returning. Okay, John. Yeah, not much good news there. Not much good news from down under. Things getting cut in half like that. Oh my goodness. Yeah, does that. Well, certainly you hear about dreadful accidents involving locomotives. They're just so heavy, and they don't stop very quickly. So anyway, we'll go to check in there, and let's go down to Gary. I think Gary is still here. Gee, I don't know. Yeah, Gary's on Echolink. Gary may be on RF too. So we'll find out which. Net control to VA3 GDZ. Gary, come on in for 7-3.
Thanks there, Brian. I'm in all three, Echolink, YouTube, the radio, whatever. Been very interesting listening to our friends come in on Echolink and the ham conference. Much appreciated. Actually, there's been a lot of chatter in the chat box, just as much as on the radio. Hi. And in terms of getting back to normal, in addition to some of the items I mentioned earlier, because at least the COVID cases have stabilized here, our local Parks and Recreation is allowing us to sign up for indoor sports activities. As the weather gets colder, I've been doing all my sports, tennis and golf, outdoors until now, so I signed up for a few, and we'll hope that the ventilation in the gyms and the fact that everybody has to be double vaccinated is enough. So you'll hear from me one way or another probably. And lastly, we're being bugged to get the flu shot. Nobody got the flu or colds, so people are more susceptible, they're saying. And they're taking a much wilder guess as to which types of flu they should put in the vaccine, because they usually go from the past year and they have very little data. So that's something else to think about. Great net. This is Victor Alpha 3, Golf Delta Zulu, Gary in the west end of Toronto.
Victor Alpha 3, Golf Delta Zulu, this is VE3MIS Net Control returning. Okay, Gary, yeah, gee, you're talking about a couple things I was thinking of recently, the whole the flu shot for this year, and I haven't heard much about it. I guess it's a little bit too early maybe for it. I'm just kind of talking to myself there. I was looking for it and asking about it. I guess it's not really in distribution yet, but I can imagine. I didn't have any trouble with the flu last year, so that was pleasant. But kind of looking for it. It's nice not to have those things in the wintertime. Thanks for joining us, Gary. Always a pleasure. And let's go down to VE3WBF, and that's Barry. Let's see if Barry's still there. Barry, if you're there, come on in.
Net Control, this is Victor Echo 3, Whiskey Bravo Foxtrot. Your comment about wondering about the flu shots, the reason we didn't get the flu was because, one, we were isolated, and two, we were washing our hands a lot. And I suspect, as my wife says, wash your hands a lot and you will not get the flu. Over.
VE3WBF, VA3AZA, Net Control returning. Yeah, for sure, Barry. Those measures are always good, no matter what's no matter what the general state of public health is, and that'll definitely protect you. There's some simple things we can do to keep away from all those unfortunate experiences we can have with the flu. So anyway, I guess I'm still I'm just sort of curious. I'm wondering when those will be distributed, but in the meantime, other measures certainly work. Anything else for the 7-3, Barry? VA3A today, over to VE3WBF.
Nothing from me. This is VE3WBF. Over.
Okay, Roger. Well, thanks for joining us, Barry. And let's go down to VE3XBH. Brian, come on in for the 7-3 round. Over to you.
VA3AZA, this is VE3XBH. Returning. Good net tonight, Brian. Nice to hear some of the same old voices. Nice to hear some new ones in there, too. So always good. Thanks for doing the net this evening. And nothing much else to add. So I'll just say 7-3 to everyone, and I'll pass it back to you, Brian. VA3AZA, VE3XBH.
VE3XBH, VA3AZA, Net Control returning. Okay, Brian, good to hear from you. Very good to hear from you. And hey, you'll have to check out, I guess there's a little bit more activity on the HF, and I guess you might be listening around for that too. But thanks for joining us. And let's go down to Mark. Here's the man who's telling us about the HF. VA3HES. Mark, if you're there, come on in for 7-3. Over to you.
VA3AZA, VA3HES returning. Well, 7-3, Brian and everyone on net. Excellent net tonight, Brian. As far as things getting back to normal, well, Friday I worked a live event at the Budweiser stage in Toronto and stood on stage and stared at a crowd of almost 10,000 people for the first time in almost 2 years. So I can tell you that was a bit of a strange and surreal experience. But yeah, things are slowly getting back to normal, I think. And as Tom VA3BWX says, maybe the ham renaissance is starting to fade a bit. I hope not. I spent all this money on radio, so I hope there's some people around to keep talking to. I want to say hi to my son and daughter, Haley and Enzo, who are sitting inside watching the live stream. And thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight. One other little small thing to note, I'm going to drop for a second. Reg, I apologize about the squelch tail. I still haven't made it back to the repeater site, and our UHF machine is still down. The Wires X computer is in the process of being repaired, And hopefully within the next few days I'll make it back up to the repeater site, have that back online, and finally shorten that squelch tail. 7-3 everyone, and back to you, Brian.
VE3 VE3 today, net controller training. Okay, Mark. Well, thank you very much for all your work too on those systems, and it's much appreciated. And yeah, it sounds kind of fun getting back to the world of live performance. I would love to go to a live concert. Well, it would be so nice. And I probably told you I was all lined up to go to one last May. It was a guitarist, American jazz guitarist John Scofield, who was in Toronto, and that was it. It was canceled. So I'm kind of looking around to see if he'll be coming back. Anyway, thanks for joining us, and let's go down to Kevin, VE3KKY. Kevin, if you're still there, come on in.
Okay. Always got to check to make sure I'm keyed up, or I won't know. Okay, anyways, VA3KKY. We'll say pleasant good evening to everybody, and now we'll catch you down the bands, around the dial. Well, it was the pandemic that reminded me to pick up the mic and try out a few other frequencies and other places that I didn't really exactly forget about. I mean, I didn't just totally forget. But yeah, prior pandemic, I walked away from ham radio for a long time. And so I don't think I'll forget. I mean, we're definitely not completely through with this yet, right? So, you know, we'll have to see what happens. You know, the election's done. There's 5 more years of Trudeau, and we'll just have to see what comes up. No one has a crystal ball. Nobody knows, so we'll just have to see. But the hobby's still great. I still have places and nets like this one that I check in with. I'm not going to forget, and I didn't forget. So that's how we'll roll with that. You guys have a good night, all right? And we'll talk to you by and by. So 7-3 for now. VA3KKY, Kevin in Toronto. Back to net.
VA3KKY, VA3A today, net controller training. Okay, Kevin, always good to hear from you. You may have been away from ham radio for a bit before the pandemic. We're always glad to hear from you on the Echo Link. And things will probably sort themselves out with respect to the pandemic, and we're probably still be enjoying some weekly nets here too. So that's good. Let's see, Monty, is Monty still okay? I'm going to give him a try. I don't see him here on the list. No, I don't think so. I don't think Monty's here. I'm going to give him a try just in case he's on another conference. So 2W1TER. If you're there, Monty, come on in. Over to you.
Whiskey 1 Tango Echo Romeo. Yeah, I'm still here. Twitter is still here. Yeah, I was listening in with intent to the Lancaster story. I'm a RAF brat. I don't know if you call them that over there, but that is like a child. You know, your parents are in the forces, so you're called a brat. And I grew up around the plains and that. I love the Lancaster and the old Spitfires and that, and the flights. Yeah, and I remember the Canadian one was coming over to fly alongside the British one, wasn't it? It didn't have an engine problem. The engine blew up or something. I can't quite remember, but yeah. Or the sound of them flying past with the Spitfire, the Hurricane, and the Lancaster on the flight. Oh, amazing sound. Oh, yeah. Love to hear about that plane. Lovely, and nice to actually hear from somebody who's involved with it. That's an amazing story, and I bow down to you. I thank you for doing all that work and bringing that plane back to life. Yeah, fantastic stuff. So yeah, nice little pop in there. I popped in and it's some good little stories. So yeah, thanks very much. 7-3, Hoyle Vow, Nostar, and I'll speak to you again. This is 2 Whiskey 1 Tango Echo Romeo, Monty in Wales, passing it back to control.
2W1TER, this is VA3AZA Net Controller Training. Okay, Monty, yeah, I saw your note in the box there too, that your parents were, or your dad was involved in the Lancaster, and that's, yeah, quite interesting. So, good to hear from you. We're here every night. Sorry to keep you up all night there. It's kind of late over in the UK, but we're glad that you hung on there for the 7-3, and hope you can come back next Tuesday if it's possible. Thanks again. Let's go down to VE3JMY, and that's Murray. Murray, if you're still there, come on in for a 7-3.
Okay, Brian, thanks very much for the net. 73 to all.
VE3JMY, VA3AZA Net Controller Training. Okay, Murray, good to hear from you. Thanks for joining us this evening. And let's go to VK6GIA, and that's Peter. Peter, come on in for the 7-3. Over to you. Okay, I don't think I heard Peter in there. I didn't check my list before I called VK6GIA. I think Peter is not connected here. And that brings us to Reg, VK6BQQ. And Reg, you know what, Reg, I just realized you got another device over there. It seems like you're going to have some submarines. So that's kind of neat too. Over to you, net control to VK6BQQ.
VE3AZA and the group VK6BQQ. Well, they tell me we're going to get some submarines, nuclear submarines. So, yeah, we've got a place over here, it's Coogee, and right on the Indian Ocean. They keep advertising for people, tradesmen, etc., and some of the ships they're building over there are quite interesting, but I guess the atomic subs are in motion, as they say, so it should create a bit of havoc from what I'm understanding with other countries, mainly one to the north of us. In any event, all good. Yep, the Lancaster, by golly, as I say, I'll be down to the museum today talking with Trevor, the manager. We've got the okay to be with the Lancaster in March, so we'll get our call signs all up. And if anyone's interested, take a look at Golf Bravo 80, Lima Alpha November. It's on QRZ.com. He's already got a website up and running. He's in the UK, part of the RAF. I guess he worked on engines. So he's involved with us. I believe his call is Golf Oscar, Golf 0 Kilo Uniform Charlie. But GB80LAN is the call sign that'll be used. We're looking for a VK80LAN. And our Canadian correspondent in Hamilton, I believe they're looking to get a VE80LAN. So we'll see how it all goes. But it's an interesting project, that's for sure, and I'm glad to be part of it. 7-3, VK6BQQ Australia.
VK6BQQ, VA3AZA Net Controller Training. Okay, Regia, GB80LAN, and the call sign, the fellow G0KUC. Very, very interesting, and good to hear from you. Always good to hear from someone who's so involved in that project. You know, I can just see, I can just imagine like the amount of work and going through there and taking stuff out and putting stuff back together again. Quite fascinating. Thank you for joining us, and hope to hear you next week as well. And that brings me down to VA3WM. That's John. John, you know, speaking of submarines, I was thinking about, I did some reading when I heard about the Australian, I guess the intention to build submarines for the Australian Navy. And I read about a nuclear reactor. It was a Canadian-built nuclear reactor that was considered, what was in this article, considering the Slowpoke 2, I think it's called, using that in a hybrid submarine, if you can imagine. I don't know how old this article was, too. So I guess you charge up the lithium batteries with the reactor, and you can turn the reactor off a little bit, because I think that was the characteristic of the Slowpoke 2. It can be turned off, and then you run on batteries for a bit, and then you can charge them up again underwater. But Anyway, kind of a fascinating technology. VA3AZA over to VA3WM.
VA3AZA and the group from VA3WM. The slowpoke reactor, that's quite dated technology. I'm not sure if University of Toronto still has one of those reactors or not, but of course the talk in the nuclear industry is portable reactors, and they've done quite a lot of work in that area. And I've seen pictures, haven't read a whole lot about it, but I've seen pictures where they can haul this reactor around on a flatbed trailer behind a transport vehicle. So that is, my view, a promising future for those communities in Canada that are dependent on diesel for their electricity generation. Anyways, switch up the topic back to ham radio. We have our every 2 weeks breakfast meetup for the NPARK group. And one of the older fellows, he happens to be in a nursing home, but he joined us on Zoom, mentioned call books. So I've never seen a call book. Of course, when I got started in amateur radio, QRZ was alive and well and continues to be alive and well. So why would you need a call book? But they do exist. Did a quick Google search, archive.org. They got them. So, interesting reading. And so I'll say 7-3 to all. VA3, WM, back to VA3 as a day.
VA3, WM, VA3, AZA, net controller training. Okay, John, very interesting with the call book there, and good to hear. Yeah, okay, you're still zooming along there too. So with your meetups, and yeah, it's kind of nice. I really like Zoom myself. It solves a problem with driving around at night and such, which is somewhat tolerable here, but I'd rather not do that if I don't have to. It's okay when there's some sunlight, but Zoom really fixes that problem for me. But anyway, sounds good. Sounds very good. And hopefully we'll talk to you a little bit later as well. And I'm glad you're able to make it to the net tonight. Let's go down to Tom. This is Tom. This is the last call sign on my list. VA3 VWX. Tom, come on in for 7-3. Over to you.
V3AZA8, VA3WX. Thanks for that, Brian. Best for last, right? Okay, I'm just kidding. Yeah, it's funny what Mark was mentioning there with the Budweiser stage, aka formerly known as the Molson Amphitheater. With him doing a gig over there, I've noticed for us things at work have been getting back to doing what we did pre-pandemic. So it's been actually interfering. I've been working a little harder than I've had to work. My pay hasn't changed. It was almost easier with the pandemic. It was sort of a boon. It was working less. So my pay to work equity ratio was up, and now I'm working more. So the company's getting a better cost return off me than they were before. But anyway, good to everybody who's in there. Good to John makes MW makes some, or WM makes some good points about the web archive and using QRZ. I use a whole bunch of stuff there. It's easier as far as logbooks go, right? To store everything there. I'll use the log, and then everything is logged electronically. So it's easier to get even like eqsl.cc, right? Actually, I have to call back. PB from the Peel Club. I guess for the QSL to go through the bureau, he's calling me probably looking for cash, so I gotta talk to him. Most people just if they send me a QSL card, they send it direct in the mail, which that's actually the preferred method for me anyway. I'll just send it direct to people. So yeah, But anyway, thanks for running the net there, Brian. Good to hear everybody in there, and glad to hear that ham radio's still alive and well. And good to hear the HF bands are picking up these days. Actually, I had a 8.5, so I got a 102-inch whip. It's an 11 meters, a CB whip. But I'm going to put, I have a spring coil for it. That's sort of the big kahuna. I'm not going to put that on the car normally. I don't like driving around with that stuff. But when I go up north, I know I can tune that with a coil. I can tune that from 10 through to about 20, and then I've got ham sticks. I have a ham stick for 20 as well. I've got ham sticks for 40 and 80. So, but with the 102-inch whip plus the coil and whatever else, I can bend it over. So it'll be interesting if I can tune it to 80 if I make some modifications. I got to watch out with the voltages on the end of it, but to fold it over and do end visit. Anyway, that's another story. I won't tie anybody up any longer. Thanks for running the net. Good to hear the repeaters running there, a little noisy, but that's okay. And radio over here is on fire since I've been keyed down. Sound like one of the guys on 80 meters talking about their colonoscopy. Hi, just kidding. So I will say 73 and send it back to you. VE3VWX, back to net control. Have a good night.
1 time out. Repeater time out. Clear.
Oh, I think I just timed it out. VWX, VA3, you said a net controller string. Okay, Tom, just barely. I think you hit the limit there, but sounds like you got a lot of stuff on the go, and that's pretty good. With the mobile, your radio, and also I think you mentioned you had the 11 meter antenna there, so good for you. So maybe things pick up and continue. That'll be certainly worth exploring. As I say, I got to get my low dipole up again. I had luck with that last year. I really enjoyed it. So it's local, it's medium distance, kind of local stuff. It's fun, lots of fun. You'd be surprised how many people are in the area on 40 meters just with a kind of a low to the ground dipole. Anyway, that brings me to the end of the list. I think I'm going to close it up at this point. Thank you for joining us tonight. If you have any comments, thoughts, or suggestions, you can contact us via email at VE3MIS@rac.ca. That's Victor Echo 3 Mike India Sierra at Romeo Alpha Charlie Charlie Alpha. This is Victor Alpha 3 Alpha Zulu Alpha, closing the net and returning the repeater to general use in a few minutes. It's going to stay connected to Echo Link for a little bit. Thank you all for your participation, and 7-3.
VY, just put me on the list, please, in and out. Thank you very much.
VK2DY, Robert. Yes, we'll put you on the list. Thanks for checking in. 7-3.
VE3AZA, VE3VWX. Do you mind if I give Mark a call there, HES?